Once upon a time, there was Roboland, a wonderful place where robots lived peacefully. Each day, they focused on mastering their skills in software testing. The code of the software was the main pillar of Roboland. It was driving and binding all the things together. Time passed, and robots started getting bored. They've been testing the software for centuries, and they've become careless. Times of prosperity was about to end. One day, the vicious bugs attacked Roboland. The first battle was quick and easy, but the robots became afraid and less efficient. Each horde of bugs was bigger and more destructive. The robots had no clue why the vicious bugs started attacking their calm and pleasant place. The attacks had continued, and Roboland became a sad, wretched place. The king set up a committee to discover what causes the attacks. The committee looked into the code of the software, and they found out that it was the nasty code which attracted the bugs, and it was the ugliness that made them stronger. Desperate king prohibited writing nasty code. Poor citizens didn't know how to make the code beautiful, and they were eventually sentenced to jail. Nobody wants to go to jail, especially unintentionally. Roboland was hopeless. But then, out of nowhere, new heroes arrived to help. The vicious bugs faced a strong resistance. The heroes used their superpowers and showed robots how to write beautiful code. Finally, Roboland was able to withstand the attacks. Wrongly sentenced robots came back and continued writing the code. The software was working fast and stable. Most importantly, the code was just beautiful. Everyone was amazed by the new heroes. Their names were Robocop and Robotidy. With their powers, the vicious bugs were no match for the Roboland. Beautiful code forced them to retreat. The king apologized citizens and rewarded the heroes. From this time, they were all living together in peace. Hello everyone, we are really glad to be here at RoboCon 2021. My name is Mateusz Nojek and I am a quality assurance engineer at Informo. I have 5 years of experience in test automation, most of it with Robot Framework, and I feel like I'm ready to share some of my knowledge with the world. That's why I started contributing to open source software.
And I'm Bartłomiej Hirsz, and I'm QA and DevOps specialist from Poland. I have several years of experience in banking and embedded in all levels of testing, and I'm using Robot Framework for a few years already. I'm a clean code enthusiast, which encouraged me to contribute in several open projects related to code quality.
We want to give you some tips about how to avoid jail for nasty code, and that is of course by writing beautiful code. I will first cover that part, and then Bartek will say more about the new tidy. Let's start. So before I explain what is Robocop, I'm going to tell you why it's Robocop. I don't know if you remember the original Robocop movie, but the main character Robocop, obviously, had 3 hard-coded directives. So we kind of based our tool on them by adapting to IT industry. And the first directive is serve the public trust. In our case, it serves developers and testers as a tool to build applications they can trust. The second directive is protect the innocent testers and developers because they have no intention to produce ugly code, but sometimes, it just happens. So Robocop is there to protect them. And the third directive is uphold the law, and it is connected with coding guidelines that are usually established in the project, and it is something very important to keep the code clean and readable and understandable by others, and Robocop can help to follow these rules. So what is Robocop? It's a linter, and it's a static code analysis tool for Robot Framework code. It checks the quality of the code while being fast and stable. Most importantly, it's very easy to use, but at the same time, highly configurable and powerful. It can also return nice and simple reports. What was very important for us while developing it is to make it use the latest Robot Framework parsing API, which we did. And right now, Robocop includes 72 rules, and the number is growing. So I think the best way to show you how it works is to basically code something and clean the code on the fly so you can see that it's fun and easy. So let's jump to the code. Okay, so here we have an example of a very bad and ugly code. And I just prepared it before, and we have a really simple test case that uses GitHub API. It goes to the Robocop project page, it gives a star and checks that the number increased. So I can just run it in the meantime, and you will see that it actually works. It takes some time because the information needs to propagate on the GitHub servers. But as you can see, this code is really in a bad shape. It's hard to read it. We have different naming conventions. We have a really strange spacing here, some problems with the sections. So what I will do right now is I will run Robocop and show you how many issues are in this code. In the meantime, we can see that the tests passed. So now I will run Robocop, and I will not provide any options here because it will run by default for all robot framework code files. And I have only one file here, so it parses it. We have all the issues here. As you can see, there are many of them. So I can run Robocop, ugly test again, reports all, and now we can see the number of all the issues, 48. Let's get the most common issues here. So the one with not capitalized keyword name and redundant equal sign. And I will just fix them and then run Robocop again to see what are the next problems. Let's do it. Okay, I think it would be easy right now to see that we should have 20 issues less. So we have 28. And we can see that we have many other issues. So if we want to get another one, we can only include this issue. So its number is 1003. I can run Robocop, include 1003, and we have only these 4 issues. So now I can click here and I can see what's the issue in each line. So the problem is that I don't have enough spacing between the sections. So we need at least 2. So I will add them. And we have also another problem with spacing between keywords. We need 1. So let's run Robocop again. We have only 19 issues right now. And the first one is that we missed the documentation for this suite. But we have also missing documentation for keywords. And for example, we don't want such errors because in our project, we don't follow the rule that we need a documentation for each keyword in the suite. So what we can do right now is we can run Robocop and exclude this rule. So it was 0203, and we shouldn't have this issue right now for the missing documentation for a suite. And if we don't want to have these errors at all, we can create a file here, Robocop configuration. So here I can put all the command line options that I want to run Robocop each time. So I don't want to have this missing documentation for suite and for keywords, and I also want to run the reports each time. So now I can provide Robocop -a path to this file and path to our ugly test. And now you can see that these errors were excluded. We have only 15 issues with our code right now. So now we can go one by one and check what are the problems. So if we click here and here, we see that we have duplicated library. And here we have some problems with tags. So for example, Robocop recognized that we have the same tag here in the 4th tag. So we can either remove this one or this one. I prefer to remove this one in this case. We also have some problems with the indentation here. Let's run Robocop again. We have line is too long problem. We have a fix me comment here. We have missing blank space after the comment, trailing spaces here, and missing space at the end of the file. So I will quickly fix all of these issues right now. Okay, let's run Robocop again. and we can see that there are no issues right now with the file. So what we can do is to run again our tests, and let's see if they pass. And in the meantime, I will also do some other things with this code so it will be even better. So what I'm going to do is I will put all the assignments, the keywords, and the variables, the parameters into columns so that you will just, with a glimpse of an eye, will understand what's going on here. Okay, so now the code is aligned. I put the values in columns and it's far more readable in my opinion. I also run the test and it works. And I think now it's the time to change the name of this file to beautiful tests. And now I can run Robocop for the last time on beautiful tests, and we can see that we have still no issues. So with the help of Robocop, I changed the code so it's more readable and nice, and also it still works. Okay, I think you got the point. Maybe some of you are wondering why beautiful code matters. In my opinion, it's very important to write beautifully, but also to write in a way that others will feel like your code is theirs. I mean, when you have some common rules about how to code, then it's easy to switch between projects and you will be able to quickly understand the code. So in fact, it makes it easy to read and maintain. What's more is that its aging is slower. Good code is also fast to review, not only because it's more readable, but also because fewer bugs will pop out during the implementation. When you are going to reuse some parts of the code, it's always better to reuse the nice parts, not the ones that are a complete mystery. And one of the most important things is that the code will be constantly changing by the people on different levels of experience. And it's really important that both seniors and juniors understand how it works. So let's go back to Robocop. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to cover all of the cool features Robocop has, but actually I think that's good because you can play with it on your own and start using it in your projects. So I will just briefly go through my favorites. Robocop is able to exclude or include specific rules. For example, when you feel that you don't need test case documentation, then you can just turn off that rule. The output is completely configurable, so we can adjust it to the other integrations tools and also redirect the output to file. You can also set up a quality gate, so a number of warnings or errors that are acceptable. And it's possible to even filter issues based on their severity. Some rules can be configured, for example, the maximum number of characters in line or maximum steps in test case. Robocop also supports external rules, and all of the parameters can be read from an argument file. If you want to only parse some specific files, then you can provide their extension. And it, of course, can ignore given files that fit the provided pattern. So down below on this slide is a link to really nice documentation with all of the command line options and features with examples. So we have many ideas how to further develop Robocop. Even when it works fine right now, there's still much place for improvements. So we encourage you to work with us on it. Our project is hosted on GitHub. Here is the link and QR code that will take you straight to our repository. And there is also a dedicated Slack channel on official Robot Framework Slack workspace. So now I will hand over to Bartek, who will talk about Robotidy.
Thank you, Mateusz. You might be aware that Robot Framework includes a tool named Tidy. This tool was rewritten not that long ago together with the release of the new parsing API. The main purpose of this tool was cleaning up your robot framework code. For example, normalizing amount of white space used, converting old syntax for new, like old for loops. But there were several drawbacks that encouraged us to create a new external tool, later on named Robotidy, to list main problems with the old tool. It is embedded with Robot Framework and fused tied with its release process. So if I wanted to do major change in Tidy, I had to match it with whole framework release. We also had to support the same Python versions, like Python 2, RPython, JPython, and it was slowing development process a lot. Another problem was that you actually do not know what it does. You need to run it and then compare output to guess how it works. Also, Tidy is uncompromising like black for Python. You need to accept every feature and you cannot choose. Just replace alt for loop syntax and don't touch white space. I like how it is. It's all or nothing. And you also cannot configure how it operates. For example, how many empty lines insert between test cases. And those were the main reasons why we decided to create a new tool, Robotidy. And during development of the Robotidy, we decided on a few things. First, we should cover all features from the old Tidy. Then, we should be able to run tool without configuring anything, or we should have the option to freely pick what we want to clean up in our code. And code transformers should be configurable, both from command line and config files. So for example, if I have transformer that split two long line, I should be able to choose the maximum line length. And lastly, users should be able to develop and run their own code transformers with the help of Robotidy. For example, if they have custom things they want to format, it would work in kind of plugin system. Okay, but enough talking. I will show you how Robotidy works in demo. I've prepared a project with several robot files that contains some issues that I will try to fix with Robotidy. But first, let's check how we can actually run it by calling the help command. It should contain all basic information how to run Robotidy tool, and if you need more detailed documentation, you can go to the README section in GitHub. So just to run it, you need to call Robotidy and path to your source file or directory, and it will run it with all transformation in Robotidy. But if you want to select just one or several transformers, you can call transform argument with the name of the transformer. There are also options to not overwrite source files or display difference before and after a Robotidy job. There are some global options for formatting. There is also the list transformers that will list all available transformers. So we can try to use it to see what transformers are included right now in Robotidy. And just note that the development is ongoing, so we are adding the new transformers with every week. So this list should be longer by the time you'll be watching this. So we have a few transformers here. We can try to get some more detailed information on some of them. For example, by calling describe transformer and replace run keyword. You see the description here that it says that replace run keyword if keyword calls with if and blocks, which were added in Robot Framework 4. So this code with that run your chosen keyword depending on your conditions, it will be replaced for a more readable if version. So we can try to run it, and to run it I need to call Robotidy transform because I want to only run this one particular transformer. Replace run keyword if, and I have prepared file here with run keyword ifs examples. So let's point for that file. Okay. So code was transformed. We can see compare it with the previous version, and we can see that all run keyword ifs were replaced by if blocks. Yeah. looks better. We can also remove empty sections. Let's try it. Robotidy transform discard empty sections. Okay, the empty section was removed. We can also normalize settings names because Robot Framework is case insensitive, so it accepts this library or documentation or false tags the same. It also accepts the spaces between user settings, and we want to normalize that with this transformer. We can also normalize section header names. All headers that you're seeing on the screen are allowed in the Robot Framework, but of course it looks ugly, so we can try to fix that. Robotidy transform normalize section name. Nice. Okay. Now it looks a lot better. Then we have the normalized empty line, which just removes any leading or extra new lines between test cases, keywords, and sections. You can also configure it for any number of lines you want. For example, you can set it to 2 empty lines between sections or whatever. And there is also the common equal sign transformer, which try to auto-detect your most popular equal sign and apply it for every assignment in your source file. So in this case, if the most popular is just equal sign, it will apply it also in this and this case where we don't have any assignment sign at all. We can try to run it. Let me check how it's called. This okay. Robotidy assignment normalizer transform, and we need to point to the source file. Right. Yeah, you can see that all assignments were normalized, but you can force your own version. So instead of auto-detecting, you can pick anything you want. So let's see this in documentation. Okay, so you can configure this behavior to automatically add desired equal sign with equal sign type parameter. Former configure this by adding equal sign type, and you want to, let's say, remove. I made a typo here. It should be demo effect equal sign. Okay. So every equal sign was removed. The whole file was normalized. So for now, those are all transformer available. But like I said, the development is ongoing. So you need to check out our project and see what we have to offer for you in the future.
That would be all from us. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope it was useful for you, and from now on, all of your code written in Robot Framework will be just beautiful. Right after this presentation, we are open to any questions, but in case you want to contact us, here you have our LinkedIn and GitHub profiles. Thanks again, and have a great RoboCon.
Hey guys, welcome to RoboCon. All right, so Bart, let's just get right to it. We have about 30 questions, not 30 questions, we have 20 questions. The first question was...
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, Mateusz. Perfect.
Great.
Hey, welcome. As I was saying, we have
Hello.
over 20 questions, so let's just jump right into it. The first one is, does
Sure.
RoboCop generate machine-friendly reports? Example, JSON, XML. Can custom reports also be built?
We can use Robocop also from the Python scripts. We can import Robocop, run this, and it will export the JSON list. Should be described in the docs.
Okay, great. Mateusz, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, you can export the output, just giving the CLI command output or -o, and you can have it, and then you can transform it. But it would be nice to have a JSON, of course, so we can add it.
Nice. Next question's from Marcus. Marcus wants to know, can I integrate RobotCop in an IDE so I get warnings in the editor while running RobocOp explicitly on the command line?
Yes, that's possible. So you can either run Robocop by command line, or for example, in PyCharm, you can use it as an external tool. So if you configure it properly, then you can just run it over the whole project or each file or the directory, and then you can just have the output, so all the issues clickable in the terminal. So you can just click and you will go straightly to the place in the code where the issue is. So you would have the exact line and the column where the issue was found.
Nice. All right. Next question's from Manny. Manny wants to know, can you also use RobotCop to standardize the spacing between keywords and arguments, like enforcing 4 spaces?
Bart, can you go now?
The Robocop, I think it's more for Robotidy, as you want to ensure that the spacing is at some fixed level. But of course, we can add the rules to Robocop that would check if the spacing between your arguments or settings are at some value.
Yeah, but I can add that it also checks the spacing between the sections and between the keywords definitions. So if it's two more, and you can also configure it. But it's too less or too more, it will just also report it.
Nice. Next question is, really nice work. 2 questions. Do you have an overview of all rules equal documentation, and is it possible to define custom rules?
Yeah, so you can just put minus list, and then you would have all the possible rules. You can configure which one you want to enable or disable, and you can also put your own rules into Robocop. So it's also easy to write new rules, I believe.
We have also the full documentation in delete the docs that are linked in the presentation or in our README.
Great. So RoboCop looks like you're in PyCharm, but I can't find a RoboCop plugin in PyCharm. What am I missing?
Okay, so there's no RoboCop plugin. It's just a package, Python package. So you need to install it. You need to look for the robot framework -robocop, and when you install it, then you can run it from the terminal. But as I said, you can also integrate it with external tools, so then it works like it's a plugin.
Great. Someone also had a question about, is there a way to align columns automatically?
Yes, it is more for Robotidy. Not now, but we have the working proof of concept of tools like that just align all columns depending on your needs. So it can be done, and it will be added in the future to the Robotidy.
Great. So I can't believe how quick these Q&As go by. We have such a short amount of time, and there's still 14 open questions. So I highly recommend. Thank you for joining us, and I assume you all will be in RoboCon venue as well, so people can ask you questions there.
Yeah, we can also go to the right side, or like bright side, light and dark side of the speaker's corner. So we have two places like this in the main sponsors room on the left and the right side. So I can be there with Bart and we can just answer your questions if you have more. Maybe let's go to the dark side and we can try to answer all of your questions.
I love this. I love linters, and thank you for contributing to Robot Framework. Really appreciate you all, and we'll talk later. Cheers.
Thank you, and thank you for so many questions.
Awesome.
Bye.
Cheers.